Hey everybody, and welcome to the Intentional Harmony Podcast. This podcast is for musicians looking to jumpstart their career, inspire others, and get motivated to make the life of your dream. I don't care if you've been playing music for 5 years or 20 years. If you want a career in music, then what the heck are you waiting for? And let me clarify when I say career. This podcast is not just for musicians that want to make it big. This is for the musician who wants to play part-time, the brand new artist who just needs a little push in the right direction, the artist who does want to make it their full-time gig, and even the artist who's still figuring it out, because really, aren't we all? Whatever your dream and vision may be, this podcast will be here for you. I'm your host, Katie Warren, and I am so excited that you decided to listen today. My goal with each episode is that you explore deeper thoughts, build confidence to make your dream a reality, and give you practical tools and ideas that you can apply to real-life situations. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. We are going to talk about having a full-time job and doing music on the side. So a lot of us don't get lucky right off the bat and get to do music full-time. And we find ourselves juggling a full-time career and just trying to work music in during the open down times that we have when we're not working. And if you have a family, that can be really difficult. And if you don't have a family and you just want to have a social life, that can be hard too. So today I'm going to just share some tips and tricks to help you get through this part of your life. The end goal for a lot of us is to do music full time. So let's get to it. I want to start off with something that seems really obvious, but until we actually make ourselves diligently do this, it's hard to recognize. So I want you to get a notebook and for the next week, write down everything you do. It's a little obnoxious and it takes some dedication, but when you are watching TV, write down the time you start, write down the time you end. When you go to work, when you're sitting in traffic, when you are in line for Starbucks or going to the grocery store, I want you to just track your entire day step by step. At the end of the week, take a look at it. And it's really going to help you get a vision and get clear on what you need to be spending your time on and my quote unquote time suckers, as I like to call it, that you don't really need to be doing. This isn't meant to have you completely cut out watching TV or anything like that, but it really does get your priorities straight. For example, I started doing this when I launched my new business and I found out that I could save a whole lot of time picking out my clothes before I went to bed, rather than when I woke up in the morning. I saved a lot of time prepping my meals at night instead of trying to figure out what the heck to make to bring to work the next day. I stopped laying in bed on social media when I woke up in the morning, and I just flipped my phone over after I turned off my alarm and jumped out of bed. Saved me about 5 minutes. I started making a to-do list instead of taking countless minutes throughout my day trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do next and trying to prioritize in the moment. So when I prioritized ahead of time, it was a lot less overwhelming and it kept my head on straight and really kept me on track for the day. So I wasn't wasting time again worrying and trying to figure out what to do. I downloaded a social media time tracker app, and also when I looked at how much time was spent watching TV and just doing pointless tasks throughout my day, it really put it into perspective. And while I still enjoy doing the Netflix binge once in a while, I definitely feel like my time is more productive, and I'm very aware if I do want to watch TV, how long I'm doing it for. So again, tracking your time and writing down everything you spend your time doing for 1 week will be a pain in the butt, but I promise it's going to be worth it once you figure out what you need to be spending time on, what you don't, and where you can, cut a few corners to really save you time to work on your music, which is what you love doing and what you want to be doing in the end, right? The next thing I am going to suggest is to help you manage your online presence and stay consistent with social media without you being glued to your phone. It's really hard to have an active online presence because you have to constantly think of what to post, not only pictures and videos of your posts, but what to say to attract people and to catch attention, and it can be exhausting. So what I've started doing is planning out a schedule of my posts on Facebook and Instagram. Those are my two main platforms I use on Sundays. Whatever day of the week works best for you. That's typically when I have enough time to do this. I sit down and I use an app. I prefer Planoly, but there's a lot of apps out there that allow you to schedule different posts. I literally take care of the pictures and the message that I'm going to write for the entire week that day. So all I have to do every day is click on the notification that reminds me to post. Everything's already done for me. I click the post button, add my hashtags, and then I'm done. It saves me so much time. Before, I was like sitting there thinking what in the world I'm going to say and what I'm going to post every single day. Kind of in line with that is taking a bunch of pictures and recording a bunch of things when you have the time to do it. We all have taken 5 million pictures only to find 2 that work, right? So make a day out of it. If you have a weekend, if you have a chunk of even, 2-3 hours, and just take pictures for content, but just get the content done, and you can think of the post later and everything. You can edit the pictures later, but as long as they're there, then you don't have to try to take a perfect picture when you're in between your job and your gig or on your lunch break or whatever. Bulk content creation is a lifesaver, I'm telling you. The next thing I want to talk about is saying no. I'm telling you to say no to people. And as a musician, you're like, what? That's how I make a living. I can't say no to people, especially for gigs, blah, blah, blah. You have to say no. And I'm not telling you to say no to everybody, but you need to assess if you are saying yes and no to things that are going to progress you in your future. If you are saying yes to just be a people pleaser and that yes is not serving you, then you have to stop doing that, because you need to be focusing your time on areas that are going to progress you further in your career, musically or professionally, or both. I manage a lot of different sales reps in my full-time job. When I first started this job, I got so bogged down and overwhelmed because I was saying yes to everybody. I feel like I had to just get it done right away, right when they asked me to. And so it was kind of like a groundbreaking moment to me when I realized, okay, I have my schedule. If it doesn't fit into very high priority, I can move this down the list in my day or in my week. I can also say no to things that other people can be doing, so I can either delegate it or I can give them the tools to complete it on their own, and then I can just proof it after. Just because you say no doesn't mean you have to be a total jerk, but you can say no or just say yes, but tomorrow, or yes, but next week, and you're going to save yourself the stress and the wasted time today when you need to be focusing on other productive tasks that you planned out. I have 2 more topics I want to cover. So the second to last topic is what kind of jobs fit really well with a musician's lifestyle. That would be really flexible jobs because you want to be available whenever possible if a last minute gig comes in. Any type of remote work from home job is a great solution for you. I know in a previous episode we talked about doing some freelance work. You can use services like Upwork and Fiverr to get contracts for people who are just hiring for little projects here and there, or you may get lucky and you may catch a long-term project that actually brings in decent money and is fairly stable. So if you have a skill, maybe you're really good at proofing, maybe you're really good at tutoring, or you're really good at editing music, you can compose some commissionable work. It doesn't have to be music related, but I'm guessing because you're a musician, your strength is in music. So look for part-time jobs or freelance jobs that you can use to keep you afloat, keep you out of, the broke zone every day, but also stay flexible and be able to work on your own time. Other jobs like nannying, teaching private lessons. If you have a music degree in education, of course, teaching is great. Any job that avoids the late night work shift or the potential overtime would be great. If you don't mind some backbreaking work, for example, UPS hires really early and you get to work at 3 a.m., you're off by the afternoon, and then you have a decent chunk of time to sleep. And then you can play a gig or however you need to structure that day, but it leaves the night open. So even if you have a 9-to-5 job, that's fine, but make sure you really get off and you're able to get off at that 5 o'clock time so you can be available for those gigs that typically happen at night. What I want you to keep in mind with all of this is it's going to get stressful no matter what. Taking up a music career was not the easy way out, despite what people may think. It's a lot of work and it takes a lot of self-discipline, a lot of time management and prioritizing and just total self-respect. But you can be successful, and I don't think it's necessarily a solution. It may be for some people, but for most people, it's not a solution. Just quit your job and go all into music. You still need to be able to afford to get to your gigs. You need gas money. You need to make car payments, right? You need a reliable form of transportation. You need to be able to buy your meals if you go on a tour, and your hotels if it's not covered by whoever's booking you. There's a lot of life expenses. It kind of elevates when you are a musician because you're going to need equipment, any type of travel support as well. I don't think a lot of musicians should be quitting their day job right now unless you are one of the lucky few and it is in the cards for you. I don't know your situation. I will say that there's no shame in working full-time, either in a related music field or a non-related music field. You're still going to do what you love. You just have to get there first. And it's not going to serve you if you're completely broke and you risking living on the street and you're couch surfing, because you're going to be stressed and you're not going to be your most productive creative self when you're completely miserable and you can't even afford to feed yourself. Success will come, but it's really up to you on how fast it comes. I read a book called The Slight Edge recently, and if you've never read it, I highly, highly recommend this book. I don't say this often, but it's a life changer. And it's such an obvious concept that it's hilarious to me that it takes someone to actually put it into words for us to realize oh my God, of course this is going to work. So basically, I'm not going to ruin the book for you, but it's all around philosophy and your thought process and your day-to-day life. Basically, the slight edge is having the right philosophy plus daily productive habits equals success. For a musician, it's really important to have a good philosophy, but also a positive outlook. Right? The industry beats us down, and if it's not, people critiquing us, then it's a lack of attendance at our shows, or just lack of booking in general, or lack of attention on social media. Whatever it is, it's hard to have a positive outlook, but it is so important. If you have a good philosophy and you try to turn every situation around into, okay, this was shitty, but how is it building me up? How is it going to help me? How can I learn from this? Rather than just, but having a pity party for yourself, which sometimes is necessary, I will say. You're going to feel so much better as a person. You're going to be much more enjoyable to be around. People are going to notice that you're just overall happier. So just try to change your outlook and have a good philosophy. And that second part to it is having daily habits. So it's up to you. You can either have non-productive, lazy habits every day that may feel good in the short term, but are adding up over time and just dragging you down. Or you can have productive, positive habits that are progressing you further as a person in your self-development and as a professional musician, employee, whatever. So make your habits productive. I'll give you an example of how I started to make a change after I read this book. So daily affirmations are so important to me now. And I didn't use them before I read this book, but I felt myself just getting more negative about every little thing that was happening to me. And I was just throwing myself this big old pity party every single day. And one day I just realized, oh my God, I am I don't even want to be around myself right now. I am just miserable. So trying to see the good in everything turned everything around for me. How I did that partially was to, number one, realize my negative thoughts as they were happening and question, is this really so bad? Or is this going to benefit me at the end some way? And then I also did positive affirmations every morning. So there's an app on my phone that I have downloaded, and it gives me a new positive affirmation every morning. So today, for example, I woke up and it was on my phone and it said, I have the potential to heal completely. My one yesterday said, I choose to be happy. The one before that, did I do my best? And before that, happy thoughts bring happy things. So it just gives me a new positive affirmation to focus on and think about every day. And I love that because I wake up, I have a chronic illness that gives me a ton of pain, especially in the mornings. And it's really easy for me to be like, oh, I feel like crap today. It's going to be a horrible day. I hurt. I'm just wanting to crawl back into bed. But trying to start the day with a positive thought and a positive mindset have really, really helped me maintain that throughout the day. So just having a more positive outlook on life has been a lifesaver, but then it comes to my daily habits. So every day, my morning used to look like rolling out of bed, quickly hopping in the shower, throwing on something to wear for work, slapping on some makeup. I stopped doing my hair. I just let it air dry, and I used to love doing my hair, but I just kept getting dragged down with the stress and the workload and everything. I just kind of stopped caring for a little while. And then I would, quickly grab some breakfast. It was probably like a bagel or, maybe some cereal or whatever, but it was not the healthiest breakfast ever. Pour myself a cup of coffee, or a lot of the time, go grab something at McDonald's or Starbucks and also waste money that I didn't need to spend. And then I would get to work and I'd be grumpy and I'd be hungry by 10 o'clock, and just the day was miserable after that. So now I wake up, I turn my alarm off, and I don't check social media because I want to get in my head and not in everybody else's head that's all over the internet. I don't care at that moment, right? I want to wake up and focus on what my thoughts are. And then I take a shower, I get dressed, I do my hair, and I do my makeup because I know even if I don't feel like it, it's going to make me feel better about myself throughout the day. I make a healthy breakfast. I drink 8 to 12 ounces of water because after sleeping, your body gets really dehydrated. After that, I go to my office and I write my to-do list for the day. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. I journal for 2 minutes and I meditate for 3 to 10 minutes. And this is like just breathing and focus meditation. But all in all, this little morning routine after I go into my office doesn't take more than 15 minutes, but it affects me the entire day. I am ready to go walk out the door, tackle the day at work, tackle the shitty morning traffic, be productive, and also just be a more enjoyable person to be around. So all of this is happening while I'm running my side business and working a full-time job in the marketing industry, managing a ton of people and traveling and meeting with clients. It's a busy life, but because I have learned to manage my thoughts, manage my day, and really get out of everyone else's head and into my own head and into my own space, it has helped me manage my time so much better, and I feel just so less dragged down by everything I have to get done. So there you have it. It's not abnormal for a musician to have a full-time job or, a part-time job as they're trying to tackle the music industry and make it. It's okay, but you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself, you're prioritizing your time, you're saying no and yes intentionally to things you do want to do, and saying no to things that aren't going to serve you and aren't going to progress your music career. And if your job is just stressing you out and you have 0 time for music, then research jobs that'll work well with your music schedule. Like I said, remote jobs, freelance jobs, flexible schedule is the main thing. And during the day, you can do this. I believe in you. You will get out of that full-time job and do music full-time if you believe you can. But again, you got to have that positive philosophy and that outlook, and you got to make sure you get those good habits down so you can really get to where you want to go in life. All right, that wraps up today's episode of Intentional Harmony, talking about musicians with a full-time job. And just keep in mind, again, guys, everybody's routine is different. Everybody's habits are different. And, you really got to find habits and a mindset that flows in line with what you're looking to do and where you're looking to go with your life. So if you liked this episode, please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, message me on Instagram or Facebook at Intent Artist Management, and let me know what you thought. Give me some feedback. I always love hearing from my audience. If you want to be featured on one of the upcoming episodes, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram story, #Intentional Harmony, and then tag Intent Artist Management, and you'll have a chance to get featured. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.